I'm going to be reading Silver Elite by Danny Francis, so you don't have to.
I want to bang my head against the wall. But with her like literally wanting to sleep with every single enemy, maybe she likes the enemies to lovers trope. Cause how dystopian is this? I just scrolled a few pages and it says,
as you can tell by the title, today we're gonna be reading the famous, the infamous Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I was actually really excited when this book came out because it was all over my page, but those were arcs getting sent out. The moment this book got released to the public, negative reviews started coming up, and now I'm very intrigued. I just really want to know for myself what this book is about. So usually bookstores in Thailand are pretty up to date with the new releases, but this one was not in stores, and I did just go to the bookstore recently. So we're gonna be reading it on the Kindle. I think they only have paperback anyway, so it's okay, I wouldn't bother. I will say that I don't trust whatever booktok says anymore after Quicksilver. I read that book with such high hopes. The first chapters I actually loved, and then it just went downhill. I don't know what happened. So after that, I don't really trust booktok anymore. There's also been a lot of talk about who Danny Francis is, and I'm so invested into that mystery. This is the first book ever released under the pen name of Danny Francis. There was so much marketing behind this book before it was even released, which is really interesting because it makes people feel that this book isn't written by a debut author, and people are now thinking it's a big name author who maybe wants to start fresh. I heard some names being thrown around, and I just hope that it's not some of those authors, because like, some of those authors, like, I genuinely don't want to read their books. Anyway, I'm actually excited to read it because it could be good. I'm going into reading this with a very neutral stance because I feel like people are very divided over this book. Some people love it and some people hate it. So I'm just excited to see how I'm going to land in that spectrum. This section of the video will be spoiler free, and there's a spoiler section at the end of this video. Since you guys loved the last spoiler video, I decided to do it again. There will also be a warning before the spoiler section, so no worries. And everything I say in this video is my personal review of this book. If you love the book or if you hate it, you know, this is simply just my opinion. Okay, let's get to reading. I'm actually eating up this book right now. I'm on page 59, so I actually haven't even hit the 100 mark right now. This book is long. It's 517 pages. I guess that's pretty normal for a fantasy book, but I'm eating it up right now, and probably because it's really fast paced, everything just kind of happens. It's just like one event after the other. But low-key, I am hooked. The characters are not my favorite right now. I'm just kind of enjoying the ride of the plot. I'm not too fond of the girl main character. She's not my favorite. And we actually haven't fully met the guy main character. I mean, I guess we did, but it was very brief, and we kind of knew nothing about him. But yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the first 59 pages. Like, I felt like I read 100. The book follows a well-known formula, the dark-haired stoic book boyfriend. Well, what can I say? They know what their audience wants, except Once Upon a Broken Heart, but Jax is another level. Low-key, Jax is like my favorite, I think, out of like every single romance book I've read. Oh wait, is this a series? Does it end on a cliffhanger? Oh my god, this is a series. No. Wait, I didn't know that this book was a series. So this book is probably gonna end on a cliffhanger, and if I am enjoying it by the end of the book, I might be left very eager for the second book, which is not good. Anyway, I'm gonna go read. Currently 38% through this book, and I want to give you some updates on what I'm thinking so far. I genuinely didn't expect to like this book very much, but I do. I'm liking it. Like I said before, I came into reading this with a very neutral stance. I'm on chapter 20 right now, and I'm actually quite liking it. There are many things that could go wrong at the end. I feel like a lot of fantasy books at the end is just so insane sometimes, and it kind of throws me off. But as of right now, I'm actually enjoying it. That being said, although I am enjoying it, I understand people's complaints. This main character is really not my favorite. Oh my god, what is her name? Ren is not the most likable character in the world. I actually think she's a little bit unlikable, but I don't hate her. There are many things that she does, which I'll give you an example in a second, but it makes you as the reader kind of question, like, why is she doing that? Let me explain to you what this book is about. So this is a dystopian romance. I actually went into it thinking it is a fantasy romance, but it's not. It's a dystopian romance. In this world, there are basically two groups of people, which are the primes and the mods. The mods basically have telepathy or like mind powers, I guess. Different mods can do different things. For example, like some can heal and some can control people with their mind powers. Ren is one of those controllers, so she can literally tell someone to go jump off a bridge. You know what I mean? These powers are why the mods pose a threat to the primes. The primes are basically like normal humans. They don't have any powers, and the primes are trying to get rid of all the mods. So the mods now have to go in hiding. So Ren is a mod basically, and she has been hiding on this ranch with her uncle. And one day her uncle gets caught, which throws her into this storyline. of like having to be trained to become a soldier for the government and stuff like that, all while hiding that she's a mod. I also want to point out that in the very first chapter of this book, Ren just slept with one of the soldiers. Like, she just slept with one of them, and she says that she does this quite regularly, but she hates the primes. The story kind of opens with her sleeping with the very thing that wants to kill her. Also, I highlighted this quote: "I've slept with prime men exclusively, in fact," which is basically her saying that she sleeps exclusively with the enemy. The moment she meets Cross, which is our main guy character, she instantly is attracted to him, and it's okay to be attracted to people, but she literally describes every single man in this book as attractive. Also, another thing, this girl is really horny. Like, I feel like this whole book that I've read so far is her thirsting over Cross, but at the same time, like, Cross isn't even present in a lot of these scenes, yet I feel like the whole book is her wanting to fuck Cross. I think a lot of readers are just in disbelief that in this dystopian world where she is literally in such a dangerous situation, the thought that arises the most is how much she wants to sleep with the command officer. So I guess with that concept in mind, I understand why this book gets such a bad press. In my opinion, I don't think that this book is that bad. People are calling other people uneducated over it and stuff like that, which is a little far. I think if I saw this book in a bookstore, I picked it up, I read the blurb, this is exactly what I would expect. I didn't go into this book expecting that it would change my life or anything. I'm reading this book for the fun of it, and I think if you go into reading it with that mindset, you'll get exactly what you signed up for, which is just to have a fun time, like following the characters and reading.
Whisper something I could hear. Away for the weekend, shooting a deer. We sit in silence with your rifle by my ear. I'd eat venison forever.
Guys, this girl is just so down bad. Like, she is so down bad for this man. Dressed in black, rifle slung over one shoulder, a day's worth of beard growth covering his jaw. I prefer him clean shaven, but I can't deny I'm enjoying the feral look. Like, every time he comes on screen, I'm reminded of how attractive he is supposed to be. And it's kind of funny. And I know, like, some people are very annoyed about it, but honestly, it's not annoying to me. Like, this book is very much a romance as it is a dystopian. But I feel like if people go into this expecting a dystopian book, they're going to be severely disappointed because there's a lot of romance in here. And one of the main plots in here is the relationship development between her and Cross. I will say that it's very lustful right now. There isn't a lot of deep emotional connection, but it is coming, I'm sure. And I do find Cross, I hate to say this, I think I'm brainwashed by Ren because, like, I do think he is kind of hot, I guess. No, but this book is very much her being so down bad for him. But you know what? Our girl is horny. Let the girl be horny. Like, people are so mad regarding who she chooses to sleep with. But I don't think that is her biggest character flaw. I think Ren's biggest character flaw, coming from a reader, is that she's a little narcissistic. Like, she thinks everything is about her. I think that is her biggest character flaw. But with her, like, literally wanting to sleep with every single enemy, maybe she likes the enemies to lovers trope. You never know. I mean, like, she's just, like, very lusty, but there is that a word? I don't know. Like, she has a lot of lust, but I don't want people to think that this book is a smut book, because it's really not. They haven't done anything, which I like. There's, like, tension, but they haven't actually done the deed. Oh, last night I was reading. I said I was gonna read for like 10 minutes and I'm gonna go to bed. I ended up reading for like 30 minutes and I reached the 50% mark and something happened, and it was like, I genuinely did not expect that to happen. It wasn't a big plot twist. I wouldn't even call it a plot twist, but it was just like a shock factor scene, and I genuinely was like, what the actual fuck is happening? I imagined being in that situation and I was genuinely scared. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading.
I'm currently at 65% of the book. I plan to at least get to 70%, but I didn't because I had school assignments and I had to start drafting a 6-page essay. Last time I think it was 4 pages and now she has upped it to 6. I want to talk about a very specific quote that I highlighted. On page 278, she says, "Well, I don't get involved with guys whose fathers are responsible for killing thousands of people like me. I don't get involved with guys who think I'm defective and wouldn't want me if they knew the truth." Miss Girl, like, what are you talking about? I think this is what people are talking about when they're calling her annoying. Because what do you mean by that? In the first chapter, she was literally sleeping with a soldier who would kill her if he knew she was a mod. And she is also getting involved with the captain, exactly what she says she's not going to do. So genuinely, I think Ren just likes to lie for the fun of it. Also, this is contradicting what she literally said on page 183. She says, "I've slept with prime men exclusively. In fact, Cross, our main guy character, actually also does this a lot, but we don't get it as much because we're not in his perspective. He always says that, oh, I don't fraternize with the recruits." That's exactly what he does. And that's not even a spoiler because we all know that they're gonna sleep together. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that they always contradict themselves throughout the entire book. But you know what? For some reason, it's not that bad and I'm still eating it up. I want to point out that this book is actually really addictive. Whenever I sit down to read one chapter, I end up reading like 3. I think the story is like really fast paced. It makes me want to turn the page. I'm actually having a very good time reading this. And you know what? I feel like if you're in a reading slump, this book could get you out of it. Anyway, I'm gonna give a full review when I actually finish reading it because I'm only on 60%. We're gonna see how the rest of the book plays out and hopefully it's good. Update, I've currently made it to the 70% mark and low-key it felt like I've already read an entire book, and I mean this in no shady way at all. Like, this isn't meant as like, oh my god, this book feels so long. I've really been flying through it, but so much has happened that it genuinely felt like I've already read one book. And this book is also pretty long. It's like 500 something pages. There's something in the book where like you know it's gonna happen because she's the main character, and when it got there I kind of expected that to be the last like main event of the book, but obviously it's not. Something else is happening. Anyway, whatever. I don't think that makes much sense. We have just been introduced to 2 other men in this story, and guess how they were described? Attractive and handsome. I cannot believe that every single man in this novel is so fucking fine. Because how dystopian is this? Maybe this guy has a big role in the book. I'm not sure yet. Like, we don't know because we've just been introduced to him. So he could have like a big role in the book, which is why she is describing him with praise. Literally, the second description, apart from his age, is a very handsome man I can't help but notice. This is not me complaining, by the way. This is just kind of funny to me. Also, I'm like low-key used to it now because I've read it so many times. Like, every time we meet a new man, like, I expect the first description to be that he's like somewhat fine. It's kind of funny. Like, it's making me giggle. I actually really enjoyed reading the last test that they had, and I did not expect the outcome. So I was like, oh, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. So anyway, I'm reading on my iPad now. Reading on your iPad is such a great experience. If you have a Kindle and an iPad, try reading on your iPad because it is genuinely a life changer. Also, my Kindle is like a grandma. I had her since I was like in 7th grade, and my iPad is just bigger. I don't know. I just really like the iPad. So if you haven't tried it yet, you should try it. And yeah, that's all the updates I have right now. I skipped ahead on accident.
I didn't mean to. I was just flipping the page and I flipped on accident. And you know what I saw? I can't believe what I read. I want to bang my head against the wall. I can't believe that this is real. I can't believe it. Why would they do this to me? I don't know how I feel. Like, am I feeling disappointed? Am I feeling like this is right?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hi guys, so I actually finished this book today. I'm like still gathering my thoughts about the whole book, but I will say that the first 50 to 60% of this book, I was so thoroughly entertained. That first half for me was like so good and I genuinely couldn't put the book down. So when I was reading the last 10% of the book, I was a little bit disappointed with how some of the things turned out. When I was reading the first half of the book, I genuinely was going to put my rating at 4 stars. My rating for this book was genuinely 4 stars, and that's a pretty high rating for me, you know? I wish that the ending didn't affect how I view the book as a whole, because I feel like as a whole this book was good and like so enjoyable. The last 10% of the book, like there were some things that came up that were a little disappointing to me. I'll talk about that in the spoiler section because it's kind of hard to tell you what disappointed me when I can't give you the specifics. And everyone has a personal preference on how they want a book to end or like what they want to happen in a book. So this is just my personal opinion. And I feel like some of my complaints are a little bit minute, but I'll explain this as vaguely and non-spoilerly as possible. Basically, I feel like the author did whatever she wanted, which is fine. I mean, like, she's the author, so she can do whatever she wants. But I feel like sometimes I was getting jinxed. Something would happen and she would just be like, oh, just kidding. It actually didn't happen. I feel like at the end, things just aligned a little bit too easily. You'll hear more of my thoughts in the spoiler section, but for me, the ending to a fantasy book, especially when it's in a series, is so important because it literally defines whether or not I even want to read the second book. Anyway, I probably will because I do enjoy this author's writing. I think the best parts of this book is the pacing and the plot, and I also like the relationship between Ren and Cross. Overall, I gave this book like a 3.75. It was supposed to be a 4-star, but the ending literally deducted points. So that is my review of Silver Elite by Danny Francis. Comment down below what you thought of the book if you've already read it. Also, keep the comments respectful. I know that this book is a little controversial right now. That'll be it for me from this video, but if you guys have read the book, then I'll see you in the spoiler section. This might be in the spoiler section, I'm not sure yet because I don't know how it's gonna go, but when I first met Wolf, the first thing in my mind was, oh my god, is that the main guy character? Like, is he going to be the same? Now, I will be actually so mad, like I will deduct points from this book if Wolf is Cross. Because no way, like that's so boring. I need the full enemies to lovers experience. If they're both mods, that portion of them being enemies is gone because they're both mods, you know what I mean? Also, Ro is an interesting character that I think will get explored in the future. But right now, Wolf cannot be Cross, okay? I literally wrote this in my notes. I said, Wolf and Cross, no fucking way, can't be that cliche. And I stand by my words because I genuinely would not want Wolf to be Cross. I don't want it. If it is, this book will literally be 3 stars because right now I'm planning to rate it 4. Unfortunately, there is a slight chance that they are, but I would like to ignore that chance because I hope that they're not. But with how big of a role Wolf has in this book, it very much could be. Guys, I was reading the scene where her friend got killed the other day, like when they were on the rooftop. Guys, and before her friend died, I said this in my notes because I wasn't sure like what was happening, so I literally said this.
Guys, is Ro Wolf? Oh my god, that actually sent chills up my body. That cannot be.
I feel like the spoiler section for this video is going to be quite short just because it's the first book in the series and there's not really much to say in the spoiler section. I feel like if I'm reviewing like a second book and a third book, it like makes more sense to do a spoiler reading vlog. But I will give like my hunches on who I think Wolf is because I don't think that Wolf is just a random character. He has such a big role in this book and I feel like that is like the most interesting mystery of all, is like who is Wolf. I also think Ro surprisingly has quite a big presence twins in the book, and I think, you know, like what if they're the same person? I just don't want Wolf to be cross. I wouldn't mind Wolf being Ro and being a little psychotic, you know? Also, I'm very suspicious of Tana. I feel like something is going on and she's not telling Ren. Because at first she was so close to Ren and then suddenly she's like not, which is a little weird to me. So anyway, those are my suspicions. And yeah. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading.
Update. Right now she's basically about to go to one of her missions. She just warned Tana about the soldiers. Still like quite suspicious of Tana though. I just don't know if I can trust Tana. And I also didn't expect her to kill Bryce. That was kind of a shock to me. I really didn't expect that. So when it happened, I was like, what? But anyway, I don't think Bryce deserved to die. I also feel bad that like her father low-key showed no anger towards Ren at all for killing his daughter, especially when she wanted his approval so badly. I'm on page 413. Either I'm completely crazy or Cross's mother is modified. Is Cross Wolf? That is my question. I really don't want him to be Wolf. I want Wolf to be someone else. It just feels too easy for Cross to be Wolf, so I really hope that he's not. But now that his mother is modified, it's looking very likely that he is Wolf. I just scrolled a few pages and it says Cross is Wolf. And then she said there's like no way or something. I went back to highlight something and I like flipped too many pages forward and I landed on another chapter and the first sentence was Cross is Wolf. Why? This is like literally the only thing I didn't want to happen.
Welcome to the spoiler section where I talk about the last 20% of this book. I knew that there was a huge chance that Wolf was going to be Cross, but I genuinely was in such disbelief. Of course, like for him to not kill her, he would also have to be modded. It was such an easy way out and that like low-key pissed me off a little bit, but I feel like that also helped them build their emotional connection. They now have such a strong emotional connection because apparently they've known each other since they were 6 years old. I feel like it jumped their relationship from being physical to emotional. So at first I was like a little bit upset, but now I understand why it needed to happen. I mean, of course, it could have been gone about in a different way. Like they could have actually built the emotional connection up from scratch, but that probably would take so long in this world where everyone is just lying all the time. And so that decision, Wolf being Cross, is just the first decision that I felt like the author was kind of doing whatever she wanted to happen. And the second decision was when Cain didn't die. Actually, I didn't really like Cain that much throughout this whole book. I mean, he was okay, but he was never really my favorite. But I was also surprised when he died because I felt like it was so anticlimactic. And then after that, he suddenly came back to life and apparently he's also modded. And at that moment in the book, I genuinely felt like I had to deduct points from this book because I don't even know what is happening. So many things are being thrown in there because I feel like the author wants them to happen. Everything in the last 10% was just a little bit unbelievable to me, including the fact that everyone started finding out that she was a mod left and right. First it was Jadens, is that her name? Like the mind reader person. And then both Ivy and Liddy knows that she is modded. Those are my complaints in the last 10%, but I do like Ren and Cross together. And I think that the three things tying this book together is Ren and Cross's relationship, especially now that they know that they're childhood friends, the plot of this book, and the pacing. Anyway, comment down below if you want to see me read the second one when it comes out. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!